We're back. Missed a week, missed a race, whatever. Bahrain GP. Got the beers. Couple of beers. His career did. So, was that? Well, maybe he's back talking about Cadillac.
He's looking a lot better after how drivable that fucking Red Bull looks.
Yeah, Lawson proved that. Well, I don't know. Did he? Like, he's sucking pretty bad in the RB too.
He's not. Yeah, he really.
Not doing so hot.
No.
Which is weird. I don't know. I thought I expected more out of him. I'm bummed to see over the last couple races that it just like has not. He qualified good, and were we Japan before?
Yeah.
Yeah. He qualified good in Japan, but didn't do anything in the race, and then he's just, what was he, 17th this weekend?
I think so.
Pretty sure.
Basically, he beat Stroll. Stroll was 17th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, we're really setting the bar high for him there.
You and Stroll, congratulations.
And excuse me, and they both got Bortoletto, but that Sauber is just such a
dude. They were nowhere.
No.
The Sauber and the Aston just looks like ass too.
Did you see? I saw a graphic that was showing the Aston is like literally like 3 seconds slower or something than like it was like from 2023. It's like absurd.
That's crazy. I hope they better come out swinging in 26, or I mean that just seems to be the whole plot right now. Like they said, he's not working on the 25 car at all. He's just not involved. It's all the other dude who apparently can't make a car.
Which they poached from
spending all of the money. So
it's hilarious too, because didn't they poached? It's Dan Fallows. They got him from Red Bull. I'm pretty sure, didn't they?
I don't know.
Well, wherever they poached him from, they probably paid too much.
Yeah,
so...
it's not...
yeah, exactly.
But they got Honda next year. They got Newey. They got Alonso. They better do something with it all.
And I think if they didn't have all that stuff like queued up, the Fernando shit fits, I think, would be very like it. Yeah, I'm shocked he's like been as like cool, calm, and collected as he has been.
Yeah,
because I think he just knows like I just got to bide my time.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's kind of chilling. So him and Max are both chilling, but I think for different reasons.
This I gotta say, I mean, like, are we 4 races in? 5? How many? Anyways, for this many races in, I'm actually like really shocked how much we're already talking about 26.
Yeah.
And how much, like, and not necessarily because like the season sucks. I actually think it's like going pretty good. It's entertaining. Yeah. Bahrain, I thought was pretty good race.
Yeah.
But we're talking about it because that Red Bull looks like shit.
It's so bad.
And it's I can't really see them getting too much better this season.
No.
Because they don't really seem to understand it. And then the other fact too is like it seems like so many other teams are already like packing it in, because it's like they were like, oh, we're gonna Wonder Team Ferrari. Oh, we're coming in. Lewis is gonna get his 8th, and now they're like, anyways, we got a new floor that made us a 10th faster. So.
Right. They meant 8th in the championship.
Oh, there you go. Okay, thank you.
That's his 8th. He's gonna be 8th somewhere. Yeah, kind of segue is good, I guess. We'll just let's hit Max first. He's 3rd in the championship right now. Kind of won Japan and then just terrible Bahrain. But Yuki did pretty good. I mean, Yuki was on his heels, so that's awesome for Yuki.
Yeah.
There's talk of Max bailing. Apparently, in his contract, if he falls out of third place in the championship, and then he can execute the non-performance clause or whatever and leave on his without penalty.
Right.
So, first point, I think it's testament to Max and absolutely crazy that nowhere in any discussion is his talent, his dedication, his driving a question. It's just fuck this car. It's a piece of shit and the team's chaos. Max should be in first. Like that's just what it is. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I think in any other driver that would never happen. Even Lewis, they're like, oh, maybe he's washed. Lando falters. He's like, oh, he's this or that or whatever. Fernando, it's like, yeah, he's old. There's always some, but with Max, it's just like, no, it's the car, it's the team. He should be in first with any kind of decent, halfway okay car. There's just no question on that. No question on his performance coming from a team who just axes everybody immediately for a lack of performance. That's crazy. But I agree with it too.
Yeah, I you mentioned that a couple days ago, and I was actually shocked. I had to like think about really like if there's any other. I think maybe like I mean I don't even remember it was Schumacher. Like if he like everyone knew that Ferrari was the best,
Yeah.
so like they were almost like he should be winning. Um, I think Alonso has kind of gotten that like all those years when he was there, like at McLaren Honda, people knew the car was garbage or the engine. Well, I mean, it was kind of both. But yeah, I can't think of another driver situation where people are like, "Oh, well, that Red Bull just sucks."
Yeah.
Like, no one's questioning him. I think it kind of. I mean, I think he kind of proved it there in Suzuka,
Yeah.
where it's like super heavily. You know, it's a heavy driver input track. Like, you really. I think I saw something crazy. It's like it actually has like some of the least amount of braking
Hmm.
because there's just so much like kind of feathering the throttle like through the S's, and then like it's like really kind of like
Yeah.
massaging almost like the car around that track, and it's like it's very like horsepower sensitive, and I mean we know that Honda's good.
Yeah. He's got
uh
horsepower at least.
yeah, exactly, so it's like insane that he did what he did
Yeah.
and like was able to keep McLaren at bay, and they weren't really challenging him.
Yeah.
And but then you get on a track where like you can't really do that, and it's like you need the car like hooked up and like working really well, and you see I mean like some of those onboards are just insane, like
Yeah.
him like over correcting so much of it. So yeah, and then I mean, and it's not only the weird part is too, because I was kind of gonna say about Suzuka, like normally it's like you have to the team at least still operates well. That wasn't the case in Bahrain. They like both
Yeah.
those pit stops sucked.
Yep.
Everything, they just kind of seemed completely on the back foot. Like it's like things do seem to be coming apart at the seams there.
Yeah. It was a different Red Bull for sure. It's not the maximize every point, do the best that they can possibly do with what they have. They were much more Ferrari or McLaren as has tripped over themselves.
Yeah, because even those years when they had like when they first started the turbo hybrid era with Renault, they were still like executing good strategies and good pit stop. Well, except for the one with Daniel Ricciardo. But the point being is like for the most part, like they were always pretty dialed. Like they
Yeah.
caught out Ferrari a few times, who had a much better car, just because they could actually like execute strategies and do like a
Yeah.
really smooth operation.
Well, that's
This is
kind of the,
insane.
yeah, that's their blessing and their curse because I think that's why they got themselves into such a hole that they're in now because they're a good team with good strategy, good pit stops, and they have by far the best driver on the grid, so they can mask a lot of problems. And that's why the second seat's so toxic. That's why they've gotten this far down the rabbit hole of like improper development. If it was any other team or any other driver, they probably would have caught that development path a lot faster and been able to reverse it. McLaren started out last season last.
Yeah.
So there was pretty clear, like, okay, we fucked up. We got to go in another direction. But Max can drag this terrible car to a podium, to a lap record, on a track that allows drivability. So
It's really crazy. And it's like I know like I'm pretty sure it was it Zuka or Bahrain? I think it was Zuka that Fernando was like talking about like how incredible Max
yeah,
was. And
yeah,
I know it's sort of it kind of like reminds me of like Nico Rosberg. Like he'll always like talk about how amazing Lewis is because it makes him sound better. Like, well, Lewis, he's like amazing. Like, and I'm not the first person to figure this out because he
right,
loves talking how amazing Lewis is because he's like, well, I was the one who beat him,
yeah.
the equal machinery and everything, and he did.
So you
You
think
know,
Fernando's just setting Max up on this pedestal so that next year he can just destroy him and be like, I am.
I do think there's a part of that, but I think it also he truly like reminds him of himself. I mean, he mentioned
Yeah,
it how he's like he's the
they're both
only.
sociopaths or
They
psycho.
are, they are. Like I imagine the two of them. That's all they every dream they have is racing. They're in the car all the time. I
Yeah,
think they both wake up and they think about driving, and
yeah.
I think um I do kind of get the impression both of them could like kind of take Formula One and leave it and go to any other race series at any moment and still be
Oh, for sure.
happy. But it's also crazy because I mean, yeah, like those years like at Ferrari, that was always kind of the thing with him is like Fernando could drive around whatever piece of shit they gave him. So like the impetus to like really build an amazing car wasn't quite there.
Yeah,
And you could argue maybe Fernando's not as good at like giving that feedback because he's just like make it fast. And it's just interesting that like Max, I mean it's I don't know, it's just crazy like I can't believe like we're like sitting here being like yeah, Red Bull has a bad car.
yeah. It's crazy.
They've had a bad engine and like stuff like that, but they've never had a bad like fundamentally like bad car that they didn't understand.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point. That's a good
So
point.
this kind of is like a really funny situation with them, and yeah, I don't know how they're gonna fix that, pull it back, and it seems like he's one foot out the door.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably the saving grace or Red Bull's only hope is that next year is such an unknown, and it just sounds like everything's gonna suck. Before he came on, I was just reading that Mercedes did a sim test
Oh
by
yeah,
one of the tracks, and they realized that the hybrid power unit uses all of its energy by halfway down the straight, so you're running on 500 horsepower. So it's slower than an F2 car.
yeah.
And they're
I
like, literally every model of this car is a complete disaster.
and they keep
So
tweaking the arrow. It seems
yeah,
like too. Yeah, I which like and it's like I I don't understand how like those guys kind of didn't. I guess maybe they didn't have enough like models that are like sophisticated enough to like figure this out fully. But I mean, it's April. They're supposed to be.
yeah, they should be.
They'll be racing these cars in 12 months. I can't believe like how bad this sounds.
Yeah,
There were concerns with like the turbo hybrid, I remember, but it wasn't anything like this. Like they were like, oh, we suspect they'll be doing a lot of like lift and coast,
yeah,
which they kind of did, but not too much. These just sound terrible from
yeah.
everyone.
There's
Like,
just like no redeeming qualities to
no.
these. They sound absolutely awful.
And I think I saw something from Carlos Sainz saying that he was like, nothing about this like sounds good.
Yeah. Well, Max has been pretty outspoken about like this is just this sounds awful. The cars suck.
It's also interesting because I've seen a couple people talking about how they think Max could almost just take like a sabbatical year next year.
Yeah.
And I kind of am leaning. I could see that more and more. But I'm with you, and I think you kind of are hoping the same thing I am that Max goes Aston Martin, like they sideline Stroll and keep him and Fernando.
If if Aston came out with a good car and you had Max and Fernando on the same team, that would be absolutely insane.
And as we've seen, it doesn't have to be the best car.
Yeah, it just
It's
has to be
just
good enough
exactly
for both
those
of them.
right. Those two will drag that thing.
Yeah,
That will be a constructors championship, and that could be one of
yeah,
the best seasons ever if
yeah,
like somebody's like really knocked it out of the park, but that car's just good enough.
yeah.
those two will drag that to a probably easy constructors win.
Yeah. Yeah, because Fernando has that lore too of like, well, it's Fernando. He's a good driver. The car must be just absolutely fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Even if Stroll beats him in qualifying or a race, it's like, well, whatever. Stroll got lucky. Like, Fernando's the better driver, which is,
Yeah.
again, probably true. But Fernando is kind of another one of those drivers that can just do no wrong in a sense. He just has that lore of like, well, if he has anything close to the correct equipment, he'll win.
Yeah.
It's like Max. But
It's
it's also because they prove it. Like Suzuka, Max proves it again, or Brazil last year, he proves it again. And they go out and they'll give it 110% every single session, every single weekend. And if the opportunity is there at all, they do win.
right.
So,
No, you can never bet against them. I mean,
yeah.
like you just said, like when the moment counts, and like when theoretically like the odds are stacked against them, they deliver.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, because I was trying to even look. Felipe Massa was no like he wasn't a bad driver by any metric. I mean, he almost won. Theoretically, might have even won the '08 championship.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like there are a couple seasons there with Ferrari. I mean, it's like literally like he would have like a quarter of the points that Alonso had.
Yeah.
And there's like, sure, there was plenty of political stuff going on there. It's Ferrari, of course, but I mean, it's like to your point. I mean, it's just like if those guys catch a sniff of a win, a podium, or anything important like that, they're gonna get it.
Yeah. Exactly. Now, on the complete, in my opinion, opposite end of the spectrum, Lando Norris. Dude, I like Lando. I'm a Lando fan. I'm definitely more of an Oscar fan because he's like Kimi Räikkönen 2.0. I like the dude. But he's been just doing some wild shit lately. He is the king of just fucking up a good opportunity. And now he's getting through qualifying. I don't know how to drive an F1 car. Who the fuck says that? Who's in championship, leading the championship against their teammate? That is such a. I don't know if it's proof of like how much of a difference a car can make, or just proof of the diversity of type of human that can get themselves into that position. Because Lando's obviously a good driver, but his mentality versus Max Verstappen or Fernando, even Lewis. Like Lewis wouldn't probably say he'll say the car's a piece of shit or something, but he just wouldn't say I suck ass at driving cars.
No, Lewis. Yeah, Lewis would.
He'll whine.
He would not be. Yeah, exactly. He'd maybe say he wasn't comfortable with the car. I think
Yeah,
is like what I would expect from him.
but dude, like, what is Lando doing? And he's talking about, we both raced before. Well, you still are. We're both racers. You know the mental side. You know the like. If you tell yourself you suck ass at riding bikes, well, you're gonna go suck ass at riding bikes. Even if you do suck ass, but you're like, I am the best damn mountain bike racer on the planet, you can somehow drag yourself up to a decent result. It's so much mental.
Yeah.
How is anybody allowing even Lando to just stand there and be like, I don't know how to drive a car. What do I do with my hands? Like, that is not okay for a drivers' championship points leader who is now starting to throw shit away while Stone Cold Killer Oscar Piastri is just like win, pole, win, pole. It ain't looking good for Lando.
No, because also if had Oscar not made that mistake in Australia, he'd be far and
Mm-hmm.
away leading.
Yep,
I mean, I
exactly.
haven't. I mean,
And
it'd be
I'm
a
going to
lot.
blame Lando on that mistake too.
Yeah, exactly.
Oscar was behind Lando, and Lando went off the track first.
Right.
So,
No, man, I don't get it. It's like such that weird thing, and I don't know if it's like the generational thing. Like Lando's young. I
Gen
mean,
B.
they're all young.
Yeah, they're all
Yeah,
young.
exactly. I don't get it. I never could imagine hearing any of those guys say that. I'm like, I'm with you. I'm like, I'm really dumbfounded. I mean, he kind of like he pulled it together for the race, I mean, he had that weird penalty, which is like hilarious. Like Max caught that
Dude,
immediately. Like he's over the pit box.
I saw someone. They said he's like that robot thing in Squid Game that plays like green red light, green light
Oh
game.
yeah.
The second he moved, he's like dead. Because dude, the onboard was literally like barely moves, and Max like penalty.
See it?
Fucking
Yeah.
get him.
It's well, and that's like, and it makes me wonder. I mean, like, kind of back to like you mentioned Hamilton. He, well, or even like let's take it a step back to Schumacher. Nico was talking about how like Schumi would literally like lock him out of the bathroom before either like qualifying or races. Like he'd just be in there. They had like one bathroom, and basically for the driver, I think for everyone. And Shumi would just be in there, and he goes, "I imagine he's just sitting there like with his like watch. It's not like he's like having like a 30-minute. Maybe he was having a 30-minute shit. But the point being is like Nico, he would put Nico under that much stress before he'd even get in the car, and so he'd end up having to like piss in the like mechanic like bucket or something before the race, or he'd have to like go like do qualifying with like a full bladder. And anyways, the point being is like, so I don't get it. Either he's like kind of trying to like make people think that he's like weaker than he is. I don't know. I don't get the strategy.
Yeah.
I don't really understand it. Um, yeah, it is. It's very much that mental game. I mean, truly, like, I mean, even just like going to the gym, if you don't want to be there,
Yeah.
the weight seems 5 to 10 pounds heavier.
Right. Well,
Um,
that's if you're like, dude, I suck at driving cars, and then you go wipe the floor with everyone, it's kind of funny, and
it,
it's like, all right, either you're humble or you're an asshole, but either way, it's working out. But when you're like, damn, dude, I suck at driving cars, and then you take the fastest car to sixth place in qualifying, it's like, yeah, you kind of do, man.
and dude, and I like for somebody who spends too much time on X, it's like people are ripping him to shreds.
Oh yeah,
Like it's really he's not helping himself, and it's kind of that interesting case like with him. He kind of, I mean, he came in. I remember like he first did that test with McLaren. I think it was still McLaren Honda, and he like set like the like fastest time around like the Hungaroring, and everyone's like,
yeah,
wow, that's crazy. Wonder what engine mode or whatever. So he always came in with like a lot of promise, but he never came in with like the pressure. And it makes me wonder now if like
yeah,
that kind of shift is still catching him out. Or then like to what you mentioned, yeah, like nothing seems to get under Oscar's skin. And
yeah,
I mean, dude, that kid is so damn impressive. I mean,
yeah,
it's like I still think that first win that he got in Baku, where it was like Leclerc was like constantly on him, trying to kind of send one, and he just like handled it like a
yeah,
champ.
yeah,
I don't care flexi wing or not. I mean, like being under pressure like that and being able to kind of seal the deal.
yeah.
So that's gonna be
Oscar's got that legend type of mentality where he just it's like almost robotic. You shut it off and nothing bothers him.
yeah.
It's that it's kind of like I don't know, Max is a little more animated, but it's like Kimmy. It's like Kimmy Räikkönen with a work ethic.
Right.
This is what could have happened, Kimmy. But Kimmy Räikkönen that kind of gives a shit.
Right. It
Or yeah,
I mean, he reminds me of like like I think Kimmy definitely changed after he won that title. Like
yeah,
that's like I mean, people always talk about like his McLaren years, like he was hungry, he wanted that title.
right.
And then like, kind of like that's where like the James Hunt comparisons come in
Yeah,
for
I was
numerous
just
reasons.
gonna
Like
say
he,
there's some guys where one is good enough.
right. And I
I
think
get
that
it.
was for him the
Yeah,
same. Um, and who knows, maybe it's the same with Oscar. Who knows, maybe he just wipes the floor at everyone this year and then he kind of, I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, he's putting on really the clinic of like how to deal with all this race pressure.
yeah,
And I mean, like that restart, he did it perfectly. I mean,
yeah,
it's like it's so funny too because like you look at a lot of those guys, like Seb used to be like that.
yeah,
he used to, you could never count him out. Like people kind of hated that about him. Like he'd have his moments on the radio where he would like say shit, but I mean, when he was at Red Bull or even like Toro Rosso, like when he won that first race, like nothing seemed to bother him.
Yeah.
And it's like weird, you know. Then he got to Ferrari and like it was like something cracked his confidence and it was gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know, and it's like I kind of think we've seen that with Lewis. I think he,
It's the typical later
I
stage
mean,
Ferrari move.
yeah, but I mean, it's like even him, like the into the race and in the the PR bin, bullpen or whatever. He's like, I'm not good enough. I mean, like they're like, oh wow, it sounds like he's back at Mercedes again.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing for sure. I mean, it's
Well,
funny. Oh, go ahead though.
like Oscar's in the best position he can be in. He's in the fastest car, and he's supposed to be the number two.
Right.
He has no pressure. He's
No.
not been in as long as Lando. He's kind of supposed to be the number two, even though they have two number ones, whatever. Lando's the golden boy. Lando's supposed to win. Blah, 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 blah. It's like Cooper Webb in Supercross. Everyone always forgets about Cooper Webb because he's not the flashy Chase Sexton tuck the front, yada, yada.
Unless you got a boner for him like Corey does.
Yeah, I mean,
But
that's
anyway,
it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love Cooper Webb too, but it's everyone freaking forgets about the guy because he's just not, not the big personality, not the flashy guy, not the one that is supposed to be the world champ. So he goes and makes himself the world champ just because he doesn't have that pressure. And he's just got this little chip on his shoulder, like, fuck you. I'm going to kick your ass.
Yeah.
you know?
It's crazy. Well, and it's funny too because I was just listening to it was a podcast with Greg Minar, and he
Mm.
was talking about how he like kind of how he just approached his season differently. Like he wouldn't be on a downhill bike till like February, maybe even March. And he's like, he's like, I'd see guys practicing in November, like doing testing, and he's like, what the hell for? Which is astounding to hear. But then he also he said two things that were really incredible that relate back to this. One was he would do like a preseason test that he didn't really know, didn't take it seriously. He was just kind of easing back into it, and he knew like he just needed to do that, and he got like 15, and it was like a regional or like it was a national in like Washington, I think what he said. And Rob Roscoff at Santa Cruz was like, I'm sending you to a sports psychologist. And he was like, what the hell for?
Why?
Yeah, basically. And he's like, like Rob, he's like, honestly, he's like, I mean, there's all these reasons why, like, I didn't really even try, like, whatever. And he goes, I was also worried because he goes, I told him too, he's like, I've been competing for so long at this point. If you send me to someone, like, you're going to completely mess me up.
Mm.
And it kind of reminded me of Daniel Ricciardo. I think he tried too much and listened to too much feedback where he should have just kind of trusted himself.
Yeah, Danny Rick seems like one of those dudes that just has to like shut it off and go. Just be dumb, play dumb to it.
Yeah.
There's guys like I'm that guy for sure. If I think about it, I'm done. I'm
Yeah.
done. That last year racing moto, when I was told to like not drink, be abstinent,
That's what
do
really screwed you.
all of these things, I did okay, but I didn't really do that great. And then when it came down to championship weekend, where it was like tight battle, I drank, I smoked, I had my now wife with me at the hotel. We did all of the things, and I like best race of my life because I didn't think about the race at all. I rocked up
Yeah.
going, holy shit! I know I'm fast, I know I'm fit, but I have destroyed this weekend. I'm just gonna go turn the throttle and see what happens. Absolutely, just like decimated it.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those. I got to get my mind off the race, have fun, and I'm not even that much of a party guy, but I got to think about anything other than the race. When I think about the race, it's done.
Yeah. Well, I
So
think maybe you sent me that clip too. It was like it was Carmichael and maybe I think it was like maybe Ricky and someone else, and they were talking about how like if you overthink this stuff,
Yeah.
You're going down. You're
Yeah.
not going to perform. You're going to be slow, basically. And that was kind of the interesting thing. And then, like, to kind of go back to that Menard story, he basically was like, okay, he's like, well, like, let's try the first World Cup and, like, see where I finish. And then if I'm, like, way off the pace, like, then sure, I'll go talk to someone. Sure
Yeah.
enough, he, like, ended up on the podium, I think, like, top 3. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I'm not seeing anybody. And the other part that was like crazy to me, and it's like kind of back to your point though too, is like those guys, like they know how to get to us, they know how they operate to a certain point.
Yeah.
I feel like, because he was saying, which was astounding, is he was like, yeah, he's like, I never had the talent as the top guys to be up there, so I knew I had to like pick little micro segments of the track where I could be
Yep.
super fast, and I could only put it together during race day.
Yep.
Which like is insane for someone like me to hear that he's like, oh, I don't not good enough. But the point being is kind of like, it's funny how like if those guys get rattled or shaken, like Alonso and Max, good luck. I don't think you could
They're
rattle
a
those
different
guys.
breed. Different breed.
Exactly. And it's like that's kind of going to be the difficulty I think for Lando, is like him sitting back knowing like, dude, your biggest weakness is your own head.
Yeah.
Like, and
That's by far, I can attest to it, by far the hardest thing to overcome.
oh, for sure. No, if you're in a bad
Definitely.
path,
Yep.
it's done. Yeah.
Dude, even today when I went and rode, I rolled onto the track and I was like, damn, the only person that knows I'm here is my wife, and she's 9 hours away. My wrist hurts. My knee hurts from crashing last weekend still. It's windy. And I just got in my head and I like couldn't even ride. I just rolled around the track and I'm like, well, I'll just do some technique drills, call it a day. But then I wanted to go fast, and then I got back in my head and I was like, I'm just gonna go home. It's
Yeah.
not working. I'm going to crash at this point. I'm talking myself into crashing. So I just need to leave.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like
it's
it's
true.
so crazy how that
I,
you
dude,
know.
I think I don't know if I told you about it, but I mean, it's like the guy who's coaching me, he has an athlete who's a triathlete, and they were giving him, excuse me, like they were literally giving him like Xanax because they would get something about like they would get so like freaked out with like their food that they would literally like throw up like every time they hit the transition. And he's like, we did all the tests, like it was not anything physical, it was purely mental.
Yeah.
And it's true. I mean, dude, I've seen it like you go do an interval session, if you're like, oh, I'm gonna suck, yeah, guess what, you're gonna really like, and like I said, you go to the gym, oh, I don't want to be here, the 15 feels like fucking 35, 40 pounds, you know.
Yeah. The gym is such an easy, there's skill involved, but it's not like the skill of driving an F1 car or riding a dirt bike or a mountain bike or anything. Like there's not the variables. You pick up the same weight or a little more or whatever every week. Yeah, if you go in there, you're like, I'm tired, I don't feel good, this is gonna be hard. The warm up weight's hard. It's like,
Yeah.
oh no. Then you start the downward spiral, and then it's like, yep, I'm 100 pounds off my deadlift. It's like I've got that in my head now. I deadlifted 435 a month ago, and I could barely do 365 right now. It's just got myself all jacked up.
Yeah.
And I know it's all mental because everything else is the same. I haven't lost, it's fine, but it's all mental.
It yeah, it's I mean, and that's like kind of the fascinating side that I would like to kind of see more. That was like always kind of the interesting part about Drive to Survive too, is how
Yeah.
they kind of like showed that and brought kind of that all in there. Like it was like that one season where like, you know, like Roman Grosjean, I think it was like the first season where he was just like he couldn't stop crashing.
Yeah.
And you see him like going back to the pit and he's just like losing his mind. And it's like it was all, and I think he even said he like had to go see it, like a sports psychologist.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um
I do remember that.
so yeah, it's, I don't know. I like I sort of I guess maybe I'm old enough. Like I don't know if I necessarily like admire Lando for like saying that, but I
No.
also because yeah, I'm like, why? What are you doing? Um, I guess it's like a form of strength if you can admit that, but I also am like, you're giving away then like kind of, because I feel like a lot of those like stupid mistakes, like the pit box thing, and what else did he do? That pass on Lewis, I didn't think was like I don't
Yeah,
know. I didn't think that was necessarily a mistake. I mean, I feel like he executed a good race. He came back from it pretty well, but it's like he's
yeah. I
still
mean,
showing his weakness.
yeah.
Period.
In reality, I don't know that he gained all that much by being a couple inches ahead of his pit box or his start box,
Right.
and he had a freaking amazing start.
Yes.
So you can't take that away from him. He's a damn
No.
good driver. He does put it together, but I just don't. I think he's a guy that when he says that, he believes it, and he's not doing himself any favors by doing that.
No.
And he's not. He's just stirring up more fuel for idiots like us and everyone else on the internet to just like kind of light him up. And he just doesn't need that. He needs to just take a play out of Piastri's book, and just like whatever. I started sixth. I came back to third. Pretty
And
good.
that's
Screw you guys.
no, but I mean that you brought up the biggest point too, is it's also like and it's like a strategy thing. It's like a lot of things like but I mean even like guys at the tour or like any stage race, like they don't want to take the yellow jersey early because they don't want to do the extra media. It's almost like sort
Yeah,
of the same thing. Why
like
are you feeding dickheads like us and like media people this why are you even giving them something to talk about?
right.
Like they're going to talk about you anyways, but why are you giving them a place to kind of like you know, be like, how are you? Are you mentally strong? Are you this?
Yeah,
Like, it's kind of, it's not even necessary because like, it's a different thing if like you and I are like, oh, we go ride, and I'm like, dude, I'm riding like shit today.
yeah,
My standard or whatever of that is like relative, and that's like a different thing than like going out there and like saying to people like before a race or whatever, like, oh yeah, I'm really just been riding like shit. People would,
yeah,
So
yeah.
I,
Different than kind of blowing a quali lap and then getting on a camera in front of hundreds of thousands of people and going, "I suck at driving,"
yeah,
and like in an he does it in a very authentic way, like not a sarcastic prick way. If he was a sarcastic dick about it, like
then
Max could totally say it and get away with it. He'd be like, dude,
yes,
I just suck at racing cars. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I'm a fucking idiot. And people are like, oh shit, he's gonna go real fast. And with Lando, it's like, yeah, you do, you donkey.
yeah. Well, it was like,
He obviously doesn't, but
yeah, it's like back to like the Raikkonen example. Like I mean, typical. He spun in qualifying. They're like, "What happened there, Kimmy?" He's like, "I spun," and that was
right.
it, and it was done. And everyone's just like, "Okay."
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting, and it's just like it's kind of creating this like different dynamic, and it like is hilarious because we talked about it with like the whole like Drive to Survive thing, how they portrayed him.
Just gonna say, like doing this stuff off the back of what Drive to Survive did to you, it's just not okay. It made him look like such a bitch. I'm like, I actually felt bad.
Right.
It's like, wow,
I
did you dirty, dude?
I mean the only and at this point, I mean what the hell's the next race? Is it Imola? I
Oh,
think. I think so.
no, look.
No, Saudi. Oh, it's this weekend.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's Saudi
So,
Arabia.
yep.
They're in oil land. Which I think it's funny. I don't love a lot of the new tracks, but this one's actually pretty cool. It
Yeah.
always seemingly produces like a pretty good race. I mean, he better come out guns blazing. Otherwise, like this is really gonna kind of
If Oscar gets momentum, which I kind of think he already has,
yeah
it's not gonna be good.
no
It's like that thing you sent me where it's like where we are in the timeline or whatever. The right now Lando's still leading, and then it's like next Oscar and Lando incident. You know? Yeah, probably. I can see it.
I don't but like even one of me part of me sort of wonders I don't even know if we're gonna get one. I kind of think the incident will just be Lando will make a mistake or he just won't qualify and
Yeah,
Oscar will just keep it clean. And at
yeah,
this point in time too, there's not that much consistency that we've seen other than just those two.
yeah.
As much as I hate to say
And
it,
Russell.
Yeah, Russell's doing a good job, and it's but like he's far enough in the point. He's not that far, but I mean, he's far enough down in the points. Like they don't have to worry too much.
Yeah.
And it's like I mean, this is sort of the strategy, especially involved, and it's like kind of that keeping calm with Oscar. If he just keeps putting in the results, keeps nabbing podiums, and if Lando makes a couple more mistakes, like
Yep.
you're gonna find yourself leading. I mean, he's not far off now.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
and
I
it
mean,
pains me to. Oh, go ahead.
no, go for it.
I mean, it pains me to say. I mean, Russell is doing exactly what he should be, and then Antonelli is just getting better and better every race.
Yeah. Well, that's like what I was just gonna say is 9 times out of 10, or more than that, even 10 out of 10, it's the consistent guy who sneakily wins the championship. It's not necessarily the guy that's, win last, win 10th, win this. That guy never wins the championship, almost.
Right.
And Oscar and Russell are those just very, very consistent guys. Oscar, you forget about Australia. That is what it is.
Yeah.
After that, he's been very consistent, very level headed, and so is George. Just kind of chipping away, and that's that Cooper Webb, Ryan Dungey, most of these multi-time champions. Max is again kind of a freak in that because he won every race, but again, consistent. So
Right.
improving. It's those guys that just quietly kind of keep putting in the good results. Someone like Lando, you can pretty well expect to botch a race or two.
Yeah.
And he may not end up out of the points, but he could end up 9th or 10th or something like that and lose a good chunk. He's fast enough to usually drag himself at least back up to there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think it also, it kind of like we saw it with the safety car of this race. I mean, that played into Mac's hands, but I mean, it's like you get caught in traffic, you have a slow pit stop, and all of a sudden you went from like 5th, now you're down to like 17th.
Yeah.
You got a lot of traffic to deal with. You got all these issues, and it's like sort of the same thing. Like, why are you putting yourself under more stress?
Yeah.
And more difficulty? And I mean, that's the whole thing of it is like Max kept it together last year when the car was dog shit.
Yep.
And he was still pulling in the 3rd, 4th place, 5th place finishes consistently enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he needed.
Right.
Be on the box or right there every single week.
Right. So it's it's going to be an interesting, I hope. I mean, it seems like so far it's a very interesting championship so far, and it's different. I like it. I mean, I'm with you. I really like Lando. I was kind of hoping he would be like trying to assert his dominance a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Oscar's doing that, so
yeah, and it's like I want Lando to win a championship. I think he's a very deserving drivers' champion. This is his best opportunity. Like next year is such an unknown,
right?
And then Oscar's not going to get slower or dumber. Antonelli is going to keep getting faster. Like, this is probably Lando's best opportunity, and hence all the hype for this is Lando's year.
Yeah.
I think that's why they tried to set it up. Even Oscar's got time, whatever. This is Lando's year, and he said he learned some things and cleaned himself up or whatever. He's just not quite proving that.
Yeah. It's like kind of ridiculous. I mean, I understand like the absurdity. Like I said, we're 4 or 5 races in. There's still 20 more plus some sprint races to go. But I mean, it the best predictor of future performance is the past.
Yeah.
Look how many starts he botched last year.
Yeah.
Look how many kind of like little times he just didn't hold it together.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, once again, like, yeah, you and I can kind of sit here and be like, oh, these guys aren't doing that. But it's like, that's the problem, is the bar is that high with all of this. So it's the fact that you and I are seeing these mistakes, it kind of makes me wonder too. It's like how much else is like kind of going on that like we don't see, it's like, so.
Well, we might be very nearly fully retarded.
Yeah.
But we have also been following multiple forms of racing for like 30 plus years.
That's the only
I
part
have
of me I can
seen this
remember.
recipe before.
Yes.
This is not a new thing. I've
Yes.
seen it over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And does not look good for Lando. It doesn't look good.
No.
Lando's kind of a Chase Sexton, if you want to go back to Supercross.
Yeah.
So fast, tuck the front and cry. Yeah, Chase has won a couple championships. Everyone else has also gotten hurt. Right. And you can't take anything away. He showed up
No.
every weekend. He's the only guy that survived.
Yeah.
And if he kind of got rid of some of those dumb mistakes, he would have won anyways and by a huge margin. But you can say the same thing about Lando last year. If he got rid of these dumb mistakes, he would have won. And that just doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. But it's that same damn recipe that we just see. And it's the guy that just level headed, puts in the work, gets the consistent results. Going to be the one.
Yeah.
That looks like Oscar.
No, I mean, I think you nailed that that comparison exactly, because that's kind of what I was thinking of as well. And you like wonder, and it's like the same with Chase. You watch him on like a quali lap, and you're like,
so fast,
right, and it looks so
sick to
easy.
watch. Yeah,
And and it truly like the making it look effortless, and he's so fast. And then you
yeah,
see like some of the most just like basic mistakes, and you're like, dude, for a guy who's on the bike this much,
yeah.
how are you kind of it's just like it's really amazing, and it's
Yeah.
really I I don't know if it's like the extra pressure. I don't know if it's the knowledge of like how many people are watching. I don't know if it's this like there's a lot of factors that are going on. I have no
Yeah.
idea, but it's really
But
something
it's
wild.
easy for us to sit here and talk about or criticize.
Yeah.
And it's hard to believe, like, okay, this guy, Lando or any of these drivers are literally, it's an unfathomable talent to us because we can't even touch one of those cars and they get to
Right.
drive them every weekend and race them. So yeah, it's just so unrelatable. And then like Sexton, in motocross, yeah, I can go ride a semi comparable bike. I can relate to that more. And his skill level is unrelatable to me. So
Right.
far ahead. But then he makes mistakes that are the same things that I make or like dumber than I make sometimes. So it's like, how are you doing? What is wrong with you? And then there's all these other guys that don't make those mistakes. It's just such a high, like high level at the tip of that pyramid up top for those top 5 guys in any of those sports that it makes it really easy to kind of be critical on the ones that are making the quote unquote dumb
Oh.
mistakes.
Oh yeah. And
But then at
it's
the same time, it's like, well, that isn't going to work because the level is that high. That is reality. You cannot do that. If you want to be that guy, you can't. So
yeah.
figure it out.
Well, and that's like kind of that thing back to it. I mean, I think it's in years past, I feel like every driver kind of like could get like I don't know if I'd say like a throwaway race, but like whether like the car, transmission blew up or the engine
Yeah.
blew up or
Even Max's rear brake last year.
right. But it's like I feel like those are becoming far and fewer occurrences. And that's kind of the thing of it. I mean, it's like I held up that hope when I was in my delusional Ferrari phase with like Seb and Kimmy. Like, oh man, one throwaway race, but it's like then you look and it's like, this is something that I think we learned from Lewis. I mean, it's like the guy was like a damn metronome. Every
Yeah.
lap was exactly the same. He could always pump stuff, could just continue, keep clocking the same laps, and that's what made Max what he is. It's like, so I kind of feel like I agree with you. Like the precision that those guys have, I'm surprised we don't see more mistakes. But you also kind of sit back and you feel bad for him because you're like, dude, you're not in a place where you can do that.
Yeah.
So
I was listening to the Gypsy Tales podcast actually with Jack Miller in MotoGP.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, that was a good one. But Jack Miller was talking about a couple things of like the speed right now, the lap times he's running, he would have just walked away from the field a couple of years ago.
Right.
And then his biggest fault has always been consistency. He's a loose guy, so he just fucking hangs it out there and a fast lap, slow lap, and like he's always made mistakes. And he's like, now he's like, I'll be running the track. It's like 39.4, 39.3, 39.4, 39.3, 39.4. And he's like, so not only are they way faster than they were a couple of years ago, I'm dead consistent and I'm battling for freaking 10th.
Right.
He's like, the level is so damn high. I'm riding faster, better, more consistent than any time in his career. And he's won races and now he's battling for 10th. He's like, it's so fucking nuts.
It is. And like to be truly honest though, like I kind of, this sounds counterintuitive. I sort of wish like the mistakes were a little bit more common. Like this kind of goes back to like our car.
Mix
It's
things up a little bit.
It would, yeah, because I would like almost like to see, it's kind of like each driver kind of having like their own like track. Like they've kind of mentioned like Gasly goes good around Bahrain. He showed it again.
Yeah.
And it's like I sort of wish you could kind of see more of that input. And it's like, but yeah, it's like I said, I'm still like kind of consistently blown away. I mean, it's like if you ever pull up like the timing charts when they're running the race.
Oh, it's crazy.
Exactly. It's
especially Max. He's like within 100th, just lap after lap after lap with that. They tell him to speed up, and he speeds up to it, and then just do slow down. It's
right. Where most people, if they got even within like a second of the lap, being able to just
yeah,
right, that would be
a miracle.
Exactly. In a road car, like you know what I mean, like anything. So.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. Well, it'll be interesting to see because right now we're at the end of the regulation, so all the cars are, even though like we said, the Red Bull sucks, the Aston sucks, and this, they're all good. They're what they are. They're at the end of the development. They're all pretty close, so they're kind of sorted. It is what it is, and they're reliable. We'll see what happens next year. We could get a big swing in who's fast and who's not, who's reliable and who's not. And MotoGP is going to go through the same thing. They're getting rid of like all of the rider aids, the ride height aid, the start, all that stuff is going away. They're going back to a very mechanical, much more mechanical bike. So that's kind of the opposite of what F1 is doing.
I was going to say, yeah,
a whole lot of kickback. Maybe in 2 years we'll see the V10s come back in a smaller car, and but either way, point being, I think it'll at least be an opportunity to kind of shake things up again that way, not be so metronomic and just a little bit more variable. Maybe the cars just are hard to drive and it's harder to do that.
Yeah.
That sucks for the drivers, but it's okay for us.
Well, and I think, but like, this is sort of the thing, and it's like funny because I remember.
Yeah.
What was that?
It was a cat.
That's awesome.
Terrible cat.
Oh man. That was like kind of the discussion though that they had in 20. It was right after they came out with the turbo hybrid cars.
Yeah.
They figured out, they were like, ooh, we probably went down a bad path. And I think they've continually gone down more bad paths since then. And so maybe this will be like, maybe like if the engines kind of go in this, I think I saw like energy starvation mode, like it kind of brings out this whole new level of driving. And I'm, pretty still overall like blown away by the rookies. I'm really curious to see like how do many of those guys take and are just like grab the the bull by the horns or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, we can make this work. It's like also your video game generation, so they're like, oh, I get it.
The whole doing just holding it wide with the RS open because he did it in the sim. If that is true, that is the most Gen Z but unhinged thing I've ever fucking seen.
And Aussie. Only
and
Aussie. Right.
Oh, man, this worked in the sim. I'm just going to hold my foot to the floor and see what happens.
It'll transfer. It's fine.
Just death. Such a legend.
But like also, props to him. He had the balls to fucking try it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like that old story. I can't even remember who anymore, but it was the two drivers that were trying to hold him flat out through Spa, through the Eau Rouge or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Not Spa, but Eau Rouge. And just kept fucking crashing because the cars could not do it. But they're like,
Oh,
it's the
like in the
teammates.
'90s, right?
Yeah, the 90s or whatever, the teammates, and they just fucking died every single time. It was just like, I can do it. Death. Ah, fuck it, I got it. Death.
Well, I'm better than him. He did it wrong. So
Yeah, that was the most like old school. Except he had the simulator. It worked.
it,
Fucking Aussie.
yeah. Well, and I think that kind of brings up the point though that you and I talked about last time. Is it's like the one fear though I do have is like the kind of the cars are becoming and kind of like they become so complex in every possible way. and and like this kind of like actually sucks. I'm actually very concerned about the cars for next year
Yeah.
because I mean there were still like some like really shitty cars in 2021 when they were at the end of the last regs from
Yeah.
Arrow and everything. It didn't seem like that many teams though had such like a misunderstanding of the car though.
Yeah.
So it's like if they're gonna build upon the complexity that they have now, I'm just kind of like where are we taking this? Because it's like if literally only like an Adrian Newey can make the car decent,
Right.
like as much as I want to
It's
see
good
the
stuff.
Alonso, yeah, exactly. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, and I watching F1 in 2014, the first few races were good, the rest were trash.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. It was and it literally got to the point where I could have basically written out the results because you always knew it was
Yeah.
like the car. Like, it was all engine dependent. You knew Mercedes was going to win. Really, the only wager was by like how much.
Yeah.
And so the point being is like I really there's always kind of like a little bit of like a bed in period or kind of like we'll see kind of like where these regs go, but I hope like it's just not a disaster, or maybe
Yeah.
it should be, and then they just scrap a lot of it and go to
Scrap it.
V10s. Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, if someone is going down a straight and their hybrid energy system runs out of battery and they go from 1,000 horsepower to 500 horsepower and someone else is in their slipstream and don't run out of battery, it's going to be exciting. Like if that, I don't know how abrupt it is when they run out of it, energy, hybrid energy, but if it literally just goes from 1,000 to 540 or whatever they're saying,
yeah.
and someone else is going a little longer, fuck.
Well, and it's like how much of this is gonna just turn into almost like a Mario Kart sort of like hit,
Yeah,
like when you like run over the track and you get like the boost,
right.
or like I don't know, I mean it kind of comes back to like
This button.
yeah exactly. So I will continue to remain optimistic, I guess, but it's
Yeah,
not sounding great.
no, it's not.
But looking forward to Saudi as they're already there. What do you think's gonna happen?
I don't know. I'd probably have a more educated guess if I actually watched Suzuka and didn't fall asleep while I was watching.
You're not supposed to say that.
It's fine. It's fine. It's what we're here for. I read Twitter or Instagram, whatever. I think McLaren is going to be up top. I think Oscar's going to win. I think Lando's going to recover it. Endo probably second. I think Russell's going to be there. Red Bull, I don't know. Yuki's going to beat Max. No, I don't think that. That'd be sick though. Yuki was
He's doing
close.
good. Yeah.
I mean, he's like, Yuki is the sort of little shining light for that second seat. The guy that should have always been.
Yeah.
He was there right there all weekend. So I think he's going to keep getting more and more comfortable. And I don't think he's going to beat Max anytime soon, but I think he'll be right up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think McLaren won too, leaning towards Oscar. George seems like a pretty good shoe in for third. He's just been there every weekend. He's consistent. It's a good car. Max fourth, Antonelli fifth.
Nice. Yeah, I it's hard to argue with that. Um, this one's a really weird one in the sense of I think if you have a bad quali, you're really gonna have a hard time. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's passing, but it's like, man, you've really got to be on
Yeah,
it.
it's not as much as it's pretty tight.
Yeah. Um. I, yeah. It's. I guess it's gonna be curious to kind of see like how like we talked about how much like Lando is gonna bounce back. Does he just
Yeah.
shrug it off and act like nothing happened? Hopefully. Um. I don't have high hopes for Ferrari. Um.
Who's Ferrari?
And I'm actually curious, like, I know, I mean, I think most people can guess what my opinion is of like the Lewis at Ferrari thing. What is your take on this? Like,
Dude, it's shut up, dog. It's exactly what I expected and exactly what I hoped wouldn't happen. Like, I don't know what else you expect. The dude's just kind of washed. I'm a firm believer in that. The way he was talking in Mercedes sounded like a washed old fucker. He just lost confidence in himself. He had some good races. Get down. And you go to Ferrari, which has a 1,000-year-old track record of just killing people's souls and ruining careers. What do you think was going to happen? And he's been driving a Mercedes for so long, which is a certain style. Now he's having to adapt to a Ferrari. I don't think he's going to do this all year. He'll get better. He'll figure it out. I don't really think he's going to win a race this year. I could see him on the podium. Maybe. Like, maybe. But, as much as I'm not a Lewis fan, I'm a Max fan for sure. Max, Oscar, Fernando. Those are my guys.
yeah,
Not a Lewis fan. It would have been super cool to see him get in a Ferrari and just smash it, just for the vibes or whatever. I don't know. But the aura that would come out of that would have been sick. Fully didn't think it was going to happen, though. And exactly what is happening.
yeah.
He's getting his eighth place.
That should just be the title of the podcast right there.
We're P8 this weekend.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm with you. There's a part of me too, that because I got up early for so many years to watch that guy cruise to easy 1-2.
Yeah.
And then hear kind of like all the British commentators just like damn near splooge every time they talked about him. There's a little bit of a part of me that's kind of like this he had to know to some extent this was kind of gonna like happen.
Yeah.
And the Ferrari thing, I mean, yeah, like, I mean, part of me is like, did you pay attention to how much hair Seb lost when he was battling you? I mean, that was really the race to the bottom there. But the thing is, Ferrari haven't even really fucked up that much. And
Yeah.
I mean, the car just
Just got a shitty car.
that too. But even so, I mean, he was pretty far off of Leclerc.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. He's gonna take time to bed in. I guess it's sort of. I keep it in mind because I think like if you were to tell me the Seb that we saw in like 2018, 2019, back in like 2013, I'd be like, No.
Yeah.
And so I understand kind of, I get it. It just like kind of cracks me up, like hearing the like hordes of people like sitting back, like, oh, he's the GOAT. And I'm like,
Yeah.
statistically,
Yeah. I mean, you
and it,
can't argue. He's 7-time world champion. He was a
right.
quarter away from 8. Yeah. You have you have to respect him for that.
For sure.
You don't do that without being a good driver. But he also had the most dominant car pretty much in history. I mean, Bottas was right there. And I love Bottas. Bottas, whatever. I love that dude. He's fucking awesome. But holy shit, the only other team he's drove for, he was 22nd place in a 20 driver championship. That might tell you something about how good that Mercedes was.
It
Granted, the Sauber sucked, but like, he really, really did not do good. And I don't think he's that bad of a driver by any means, but it shows you again how good the Mercedes was those years. And Lewis is the guy that if the car's there, if the circumstances are right, yeah, 100% he's going to win. But he needs things to be right. He's not like Max. He's not like Fernando, where he will drag, or Hulkenberg will drag a shitty car way out of where it should be into a better position.
right.
Yes, I just compared Lewis Hamilton and Nico Hulkenberg to the benefit of Hulkenberg. It
Well,
was
I mean,
never part.
it's true though, because I mean, and it's funny, you know, like with the surplus of kind of like drive to survive fans that are out there, and I don't mind it. Like, I think it's great what they've done to the sport, but it
Oh,
is
yeah.
like funny. Like, you'll talk to people. I would talk to people, and they'd be like, "Man, why do you like hate Lewis?" Or, and I never like hated Lewis, but I've hated sort of the same. Schumacher didn't have it. He didn't have this. Basically, like the car started to go south there at Ferrari, and they basically gave him the boot, and they were like, "Well, we're giving you the boot to get Raikkonen in." We didn't really see him go through the same kind of like fall,
Yeah.
um, you know, and it was interesting seeing everyone. I mean, it's and we've I don't know if we've talked about. I mean, like the whole like British bias thing being very real. I mean, I remember when like Seb would be winning and he would execute these amazing races, and you would be like, "Oh yeah, he was in the best car," but like you would see, you're like, that guy was flawless, and you know
Yeah.
the commentators were like, "Well, you know, it's that Red Bull," and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Well,
fine." But then when Lewis turns up, and I mean, it was that duel in the desert. They showed it again. I think it was during COVID, and a lot of people were commenting. They were like, they did a restart, and they were like, "Where's everyone else?" And I'm like, "Yeah, those cars were literally like a second a lap faster than everyone else."
yeah,
And they
exactly.
had that advantage for those many years. And I think, to your point too, he honed in on that car and how to drive it for so long. And now it's like completely different powertrain, completely different
Yeah.
driver input, everything. So it's like he may get that comfortable in that car when it's race 20 of 24. And that's not a hit
Right.
on him, but it just is interesting kind of to see that, like,
Well, and if he really is that good, should he not have created the same circumstance at Mercedes that Max did at Red Bull? Where George comes in and is the car wasn't that good, and George is fucking nowhere compared to Lewis.
yeah,
But he didn't. George beat Lewis quite a bit.
yeah,
Like a lot. Beat him in quali, beat him in the race. And now he's at Ferrari, getting beat by Leclerc every single session.
right. Oh, that one sprint race.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one sprint race. And with Ferrari, you can kind of, okay, he's not used to the Ferrari. Leclerc's been in it for a long time. He's Mr. Ferrari. Okay, he's going to take some time to adapt for sure. But Mercedes, with Russell, most mid dude on the planet. Seven-time world champion, gets a couple race wins.
It it reminds me a lot of Seb. Like I've said,
Yep.
it's like I started taking Ralph Schumacher a lot more seriously after he's the one who kind of drew this comparison. It's like, and I kind of agree. It's like I think I'm with you too. I actually would still like to kind of see him turn this around.
It would be so good for the sport and for the lore and for the whole vibes.
Yeah,
As much as I hate that word, this is everything.
I
It'd be freaking cool if Lewis got into Ferrari, won his eighth, did the whole thing. Hell yeah, dude. That'd be
right,
badass. I love seeing people break records. I don't care who it is. I
yeah,
don't care if I hate the guy.
right.
Break records. I'll respect the shit out of you because you have proven you're the best.
Well, and and that's the exact same thing. When he got his seventh, like I was like, hey, my hat goes off to you.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
and I will still always
Or not, you have to perform to get 7 world titles.
correct. So everyone who's losing their goddamn mind right now, like
Bottas didn't get 7 world titles. He didn't get one.
right.
He got a couple race wins.
He got his ass on a calendar and a nice mullet.
Yeah, which probably better than 7 world titles.
Yeah.
Bought my wife that calendar. She loved it.
Oh, that's the real winner. Yeah, but no, I'm with you. It's interesting, and I think it kind of, I don't know. I can't tell how much I like it or not, because I think it kind of goes back to that same point though too. Is like I don't want to see the cars get to be this much of like if there's 9 shit cars and then one good one.
Yeah,
that's not right. It's not entertainment.
Yeah,
and I think everyone kind of saw that in 23. And like, look how pissed they were. Although, if that was like Lewis or another British driver, dude, everyone would have been like, "Oh, this is amazing!" Yeah, exactly. So it means that maybe I need to get like a Dutch or a German video or TV subscription. I guess I could listen to that. I can't learn it, but
yeah, I'm curious. Yeah, I wonder if there is Dutch bias on the Dutch. There's got to be. There's
gotta be.
F1 TV is pretty good about that. Like on the app, they're pretty good about.
Do you watch
very little bias.
See, I'm such a creature of habit. I still have to like listen to Crofty and those guys because that's all I've been listening to for all these years. Yeah, and then like I just sit there and I'm like, you wash wankers. Like, no, they're great. I don't know. And like to your credit, though, like I hear like the like replay analysis, and I'm always like, oh, these guys are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just listened to them for so long. I think if Crofty left, I'd probably like that would get me to.
Yeah,
it'd be enough of a change. But or like the BBC used to actually put on that for a while, and it was oh shit, it was Eddie Jordan and Coulthard.
That would be.
It was great
because Coulthard's on F1 TV most of the time. He's good.
Oh,
I like DC. He's
yeah.
rad. They've got a good crew on F1 TV app.
Yeah.
Have you watched it on Hulu?
They have it on Hulu?
Yeah, dude. I'm just because all the races are at jacked up times, but I've been laying in bed and like going to get my Family Guy on or whatever to fall asleep, and like FP3 or whatever is on Hulu, and I'm like, oh shit, I haven't watched it yet, so I don't know what the program's like on Hulu. I don't know if it's all American dudes or if it's just piggybacked off BBC or what.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, no, I should check that out. Actually, I take that back. They used to have when it was on was it like MSNBC Sports or something, or NBC Sports? It was like Lee Diffie and a couple of those guys were actually the commentators.
Bro,
it wasn't bad.
Have you seen all the drama with Lee and Ricky and Daniel Blair and Supercross?
Just a little bit, and I can't get enough of it.
God.
It has been. People are going for the jugular. That's all I'll say.
heinous. It's gotten so bad. I'm having a hard time listening to Ricky on Supercross anymore because every time he makes a mistake, or Lee, what last weekend, Lee Diffie said Plessinger was on a Red Bull Kawasaki, and I was like, dude, you fucking idiot.
You're gonna get ripped. Yeah.
And then James Stewart just sneakily in there, like, yeah, Plessinger on his Red Bull KTM. I was like, fuck yeah, James. You know what's up.
I did catch that one, yes.
Oh man, the social media masses have started to rope me into that hatred.
It's
Like, I've always, again, you have to respect Ricky. I don't care if you like him, you have to respect him.
correct.
Lee, yeah, I don't know, whatever. But
it's kind of one of those funny things too. You're like, dude, how did you get in here? Like, right? And it's like, oh, you got this cool like Aussie voice. Like, I mean, it's like, but
yeah.
like, he doesn't.
Well, Daniel Blair too, because he's good. Like he is really good at announcing and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what that dude does though. He must piss everyone off that he's ever worked with all of the time because he goes through jobs and careers fucking so fast and he's always pissed off at someone. So I'm kind of like, well, the guy who's initiating a lot of this hatred is also the guy that gets fired from fucking everything.
Okay, I did not know that. So
Yeah. Blair has a problem with everybody.
maybe they queued him up. They're like, you know, he will take him down. Ricky. Put
Dude,
him in there.
yeah. Well, and Ricky, I've seen some clips, and Ricky is a fucking dick to him.
Well, there's that one where they're like, he's like, Ricky, did you hit the boat here? And he's like,
Yeah.
no, I didn't. Like,
yeah.
like, you can tell, and he's like, just like not playing along at all. And he's like, where do you want me to stand? He's like, out in the parking lot. Like,
Yeah. Well, I've always heard that Ricky's like a real smart ass and messes with people and stuff. And I like if Ricky said that to me, I'd be like, whatever, dude, fuck you.
Right.
I think Daniel Blair takes it pretty to heart and gets actually upset about it and then causes a whole thing and then gets fired because he's kind of the low man. So, that's my 2 cents on it, but Ricky is pretty savage to a lot of people. He's kind of a dick.
But like, I want to hear
I'm kind of a dick too.
Yeah, me too. Like, I like it's. Well, did you ever like watch any of like the previous races? Previous races. Did you watch like any of the like F1 races from like the early '90s, like on like the highlights?
Yeah, I've seen some.
So it'd be like they'd have God, I can't remember his name. Something Murray, and he'd be like the normal commentator, and then they'd bring James Hunt in, and they would be talking about how they're like, oh, they made the switch to, you know, the turbo engines, and it was like they're like, so and so just hasn't been able to like kind of get it under wraps, and James would be like, yeah, that sounds like bullshit. And like he would just call him out, and he'd be like, that's not a real reason, basically. And I'm like, I would kill for that. Like, I would love to hear that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, and it kind of back to like a lot of this stuff. Like our Mark Webber was good too. That was the part, that whole dynamic. It was Eddie Jordan, Mark Webber, and DC, and those guys would kind of sit there, and you would catch a lot of inside stuff because they would be like, you know, they'd be like, oh, go ahead.
No, you finish your point.
Well, no, they'd just be like, most people would kind of be like, oh, that's like, that was a, you know, that was a mistake or something like that. And Weber would be like, no, that was a monumental mistake. Yeah. If he did this, and like, they would kind of like talk through it, and you all of a sudden are kind of like, oh, wow. Like, that's a whole different input. And then Eddie Jordan's like, oh yeah, let me tell you about this guy. I fired a guy because he did something, you know, like, you're like, okay.
That's where, like, man, that I was really just getting into that Formula for Success podcast with Eddie Jordan and DC. And it was so good because Eddie is such a dick. And they would literally just call him out for being an asshole. And like, they had one of the drivers on there that drove for Eddie for a while. He's like, I fucking hated you. You were a dickhead. And Eddie does not care. He's just an asshole, and that's who he is. And it's amazing. And then DC's kind of just like, he's funny, but he's pretty chill, and like he sort of keeps the peace just enough. And it was such a good dynamic with those guys.
No, it's true, because like I can remember one that was like always stuck out. I think it was like right after McLaren went back to Honda, and Ron Dennis was still there, and they were talking to Eddie Jordan, and he was like, Ron Dennis is an idiot. And like just like was ripping him to shreds, and then they kind of repeated some of that, and like Ron couldn't even, he's like, and he's just like, he's like, Eddie likes to talk a lot, and he likes to say these things, and then like the next clip, Eddie's like, why didn't he respond? Like just like he just like went and just tore him to shreds, and I was like, this is entertainment.
Yeah. I think the older I get, the more I like those kind of people who will just fucking say shit to get a rise or like fucking
But
out of
not
left
everyone
field.
can. No, I agree, because not everyone can do it though. Because it was like it was. I think it was that same season, or it was the season after. Like Johnny Herbert was like, Fernando Alonso should just retire. And he was like, literally, it was like at one race, and then the next race, he's like out in like the paddock, and he's like, yeah, I mean what I say. And Fernando walks up to him, and he's like, this is why you talk, and this is why you're a commentator. I'm a 2-time world champion. Like, you should retire or something. And I just, and no one said a thing. No one jumped in, and everyone started like, yeah, Johnny Herbert's kind of a dick, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, so,
Well, that's why I like Max so much because he just says shit. You're like, he's got a point. Like when they were asking him about his driving last year, running Lando off the track or whatever, he's like, look, I'm a 3-time world champ. I'm not changing my driving. Fuck him. It's like,
right.
eh, yeah, fair enough. You can back it. If my mom had balls, she'd be my dad.
Right.
That's true. You're not wrong.
There's one even with Eddie and Max where what the hell was the deal? He was like asking him something about his driving, and Eddie's like, you need to like kind of rein it back in, and Max has like a microphone in his hand, and Eddie like looks away, and Max is like kind of like, can you believe this guy? Basically, it's still on YouTube. I think he was still like 18 years old, and I just like, yeah,
Good.
that's the one thing I will say too. I hope F1 doesn't kind of go too professional, because then you kind of miss a lot of those moments and everything like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
it should still kind of remain a little rough around the edges.
That's what's so cool about the sport is it is like the premier, the billions of dollars, and the drivers and some of the people around the sport are just like the most unhinged people. I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
Like I don't half the time I don't even care about the race. It's like Japan was boring as shit. Monaco sucks. Whatever. They're boring, but the stuff that comes out of them, well, even if it's Max, is like I should have brought my pillow. This race is fucking boring. It's
right.
Like, oh, I love this.
Well, that's why everyone like Gunther Steiner,
Oh, Gunther's awesome.
right? And he just unfiltered. He's not going to give you some like
Yeah.
PR bullshit, and it's
Yeah.
Or even like a couple years ago, what was it like when Barsha? I can't remember. Did he take out Mookie? And he gets on the podium, and everyone's 50-50 with him already, and he was like, "Yeah, I took him out." Like that, basically just owned
Yeah.
it. Like was
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I'll be the bad guy," and
Yeah.
I was like, "That's awesome."
Yeah.
Like that's great. Like and half the crowd's booing him, and he's like, "What? I'm up on the podium or whatever." So,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, when Max was getting booed, and he's like, "Oh, they can go back to their houses, and I'll take my big trophy and go back to my house and fuck you guys." When people are an asshole in a way that you just can't argue with, I love that. This is the best.
it is the best.
Just feel like you win.
Right.
Clear as day. You have the bigger dick.
Yeah. Okay, you know what? You proved me wrong. Like,
So good. Well, okay.
should we wrap it there?
Yep.